But another question, I remember you kind of slightly broached this on Keeping It 100, and it never really went into depth. But you mentioned about Bret Hart once. Did you work him on a Nitro or a Thunder?
Thunder. Hmm.
And you said that you felt that he tried to injure you or stiffed you with a suplex in the ring.
Yeah, yeah. Um, he probably thought I was going into business for myself, which I wasn't. But the thing was, is that like this, the whole thing was so stupid. It was a Thunder taping, and they had me in there against him for like a 20-minute match. It's like they had 20 minutes, like, and like even he was like, at the time he was not very happy. They weren't doing much with him, and stuff everything. And they had a 20-minute. They put us down for 20 minutes. And I was like, why am I with this guy for 20 minutes? I was like, that's ridiculous. So he really wasn't that keen on going over stuff before. He just wasn't. He wasn't enthusiastic about it, right? So we went out and did the match, and 20 minutes is a long time, and we were like at the 12-minute mark, and he had put me in the sharpshooter, okay? And I'm supposed to tap out when he puts me in the sharpshooter as a finish, but he's going home like 8 minutes early. And the referee's telling me, don't tap, you've got 8 minutes. And I don't even know if he told him that. So I didn't tap. He let go of the hold, and he said, what the fuck are you doing when he picked me up? And I said, he told me not to tap. And I don't know if this is a conversation, so he just picked me up for a suplex, and when he dropped me for a suplex, like a side suplex, he tilted me back and dropped me on my neck. Like, if you watch it, it's like, but not super bad, but just enough like a little stiff suplex. And I forgot what the finish, what happened after that, but eventually we went home. But yeah, he put me in the sharpshooter to go home, and it was the referee was telling me, don't tap, you've got 8 minutes left. So he probably didn't know that. He probably thought I was screwing him on his finish. You know what I'm saying? Because he got me in the sharpshooter. He can't see the referee telling me don't tap. Because his backs we're facing opposite directions. So I'm not tapping because referee's telling me don't tap.
What was the feeling backstage when Brett came into WCW and he's on this like $3 million a year deal, yet he's complaining they're not making me work enough?
When he first came in, I remember Nash was booking, and Nash wanted him to do a job, like right away, because he had just come from New York where he was refusing to do a job to Shawn, which the whole Montreal screw job. So they want to see, hey, is he going to come here and do business? So it started off bad. And it's kind of like, Brett had a weird relationship with Kevin and, Scott and Shawn and stuff and all those guys, because he didn't like Scott, still doesn't like Scott, but Scott's an easy guy not to like because Scott's got a very critical mouth and will say things to people that you just, he was a good heel backstage. He would get the boys hot. You get the boys hot, and we all know it's work, so he would say things to get the boys hot. But Kevin and Brett had always had good, when they worked with each other, they'd always had good matches. And they always respected working with each other because they always went out there. They had good styles. Brett was smaller, Kevin was bigger. Kevin liked to lay in his forearms and stuff, and Brett liked, but they had a falling out a little bit because of, that incident with where Brett not wanting to take Kevin's finish in a match, and because I think Sid and Shawn were working each other, Sid and and whatever it was, but like they had a falling out that led Kevin to leave WCW to go to WCW, right? But he'd always respected Brett's work. But I think maybe that maybe had something to do with it, because Kevin was the booker when he came in about having have Brett's got to do a job here because we got to see if he's doing business. But Brett doesn't really ever speak bad about Kevin. But Kevin was best friends with Scott, and him and Scott didn't really get, they didn't get along. And Kevin was best friend with Scott, so there was always that little bit of animosity with Kevin because Kevin's best friends with Scott, right? Just, and it's a clique. They were the clique, and Brett still looked in the clip, but Brett had good men. But Brett always respected Sean Waltman. Him and Sean got along well because they always had great matches with each other and something. So Bret had weird sensibilities with his relationships with some of the other performers. Like you hear him today, he'll let you know what he thinks about guys. And to this day, he calls Hogan a piece of shit, and so he's just like, I don't know, he's got very different sensibilities than other people. He's a man of conviction. He respects the business a lot. He's kind of I think he'll even admit he's a mark for business, but him being a mark for the business worked out in his favor because he was that good, And that's the difference between some of these guys. Some of these top guys that main event pay-per-views and stuff, you kind of have to be a mark for yourself a little bit to be that good at doing your character, So that was a good Bret.
Did it ever make sense to you from a creative point of view to not do Hart Foundation versus the NWO?
Not really. I mean, not really. Yeah.
I don't know, they could have done Anvil and Bret Hart versus the Outsiders.
Yeah, but Anvil at the time, his work wasn't near up to par as Bret's was.
True.
Yeah.